A very good morning, my dear students. In previous weeks, we have saw about the bacterial and viral infection. Today, I am going to start fungal infection, and my topic for today's class is about candidiasis and its types. Candidiasis, it is caused by yeast-like fungus, that is Candida albicans. Candida exists in three forms, namely pseudohyphae, yeast and chlamydospore. It reproduces by asexual binding and forms pseudohyphae. These species grow rapidly at 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. It is a common inhabitant of oral cavity, gastrointestinal tract and vagina of a clinically normal person. This disease is said to be the most opportunistic infection in the world. Predisposing factors of candidiasis includes acute and chronic disease like tuberculosis, diabetes mellitus, anemia, myxedema, hypoparathyroidism, and Addison's disease. Immunodeficiency like AIDS, nutrition deficiencies like iron, vitamin A, and vitamin B deficiencies, prolonged hospitalization for chronic illness and debilitating disease, prolonged usage of antibiotics, corticosteroids and cytotoxic drugs, radiation therapy, use of intravenous tubes, catheters, heart valves and poorly maintained dentures, heavy smoking, old age, infancy and in pregnancy. Candidal infection may range from mild superficial mucosal involvement to severe fatal disseminated form seen in immunocompromised individuals. The classification was proposed by Samaranayake in the year 1991 and it is modified by Axel et al. In the year 1997. They divide the candidiasis into two major categories, that is primary oral candidiasis and secondary oral candidiasis. Primary oral candidiasis includes the infection exclusively confined to the oral and the perioral tissue, whereas the secondary oral candidiasis includes the oral manifestation of systemic mucocutaneous candidiasis as a result of disease such as thymic aplasia and candidiasis endocraniopathy syndrome. Primary oral candidiasis is divided into acute form, chronic form, candida-associated lesion and keratinized primary lesion superimposed with the candida. Acute form is further divided into pseudomembranous candidiasis and erythematous candidiasis, whereas chronic form is divided into hyperplastic candidiasis, erythematous candidiasis and pseudomembranous candidiasis. Hyperplastic is subdivided into nodular and plaque-like. Candida-associated lesion includes denture stomatitis, angular cheilitis and median rhomboid glossitis. Keratinized primary lesion superimposed with the candida includes leukoplakia, lichen planus and lupus erythematosus. Now we'll see about the acute form of primary oral candidiasis. In that we'll start off with the pseudomembranous candidiasis. This is one of the most common form of the disease. It may occur at any age, but it is especially prone to occur in debilitated or chronically ill patient or in infants. The oral lesions are characterized by the appearance of soft, white, slightly elevated papules, most frequently occurring on the buccal mucosa and tongue, but it is also seen on the palate, gingiva, and in the floor of the mouth. The plaque, which have often been described grossly as resembling a milk curds, consisting chiefly of tangled masses of fungal hyphae with intermingled desquamated epithelium, keratin fibrin, necrotic debris, leukocytes and bacteria. The white plaques can usually be wiped away with a gauze, leaving either a relatively normal appearing mucosa or an erythematous area. In severe cases, the entire oral cavity may be involved. Concomitant involvement of oral cavity and esophagus is common in HIV patient. So the take-home message from the pseudomembranous candidiasis is to differentiate from other white lesion, the pseudomembranous candidiasis can be wiped off using a gauze. we'll move on to the next type, that is erythematous candidiasis. It is also known as antibiotic sore mouth. It usually occurs as a sequelae to the course of the broad spectrum antibiotics, corticosteroids, or any disease which suppress the immune system, more commonly HIV disease. The lesion in this form of disease appears red or erythematous rather than white, thus resembling the pseudomembranous type in which the white membrane has been wiped off. The redness is due to the increased vascularity. It is distinguished from erythroplakia, where the borders are sharp and well demarcated. It too may occur at any site. It is the only variety of oral candidiasis which is consistently painful. Central papillary atrophy of the tongue is asymptomatic symmetric erythematous lesion of dorsal aspect in the posterior region. The erythematous appearance occurs due to the loss of filiform papillae. A strong relationship exists between this lesion and chronic smoking and Candida albicans. Now we'll move on to the chronic form of candidiasis. In that we'll see about the hyperplastic candidiasis. This is often spoken as a leukoplakia type of candidiasis. The oral lesion consists of firm, white persistent plaque, usually on the lips, tongue, cheeks, and appears similar to leukoplakia. These lesions may be homogeneous or speckled and persist for a period of years. Chronic candidiasis may itself be a cause of true leukoplakia and thus may be regarded as having a possible pre-malignant potential. Now we'll move on to the Candida associated lesion. In that we'll see about the denture stomatitis. It is otherwise called as denture sore mouth stomatitis. It can be otherwise called as chronic atrophic candidiasis. A diffuse erythema and edema of the denture bearing area often occurring with angular cheilitis. It is usually asymptomatic except for the soreness, and the presenting complaint may be angular stomatitis. Mandibular mucosa is rarely affected. Women's affected more frequently than men. Now we'll see about the angular cheilitis. Angular cheilitis is a multifactorial disease affecting the commissure of the lip and is commonly seen in denture wearers. This common condition of the lip has been associated with several predisposing factors such as infection, nutritional deficiency, and reduced vertical dimension of the mouth as seen in old age and in long-term denture wearers. Now we'll see about the clinical features. Angular cheilitis occurs in both young children and adults and is characterized symptomatically by the feeling of dryness and a burning sensation at the corners of the mouth. Clinically, the skin at the commissure appears wrinkled. In the time, the wrinkling becomes more pronounced to form one or more deep fissure or crack which appears ulcerated but which do not tend to bleed, although a superficial exudative crust may form. These fissures do not involve the mucosal surface of the commissure inside the mouth but stop at the mucocutaneous junction. Now we'll see about median rhomboid glossitis. Embryologically, the tongue is formed by two lateral processes, that is the lingual tubercle, meeting in the midline and fusing above a central structure from the first and second brachial arch, that is the tubercular impera. The posterior dorsal point of fusion is occasionally defective, leaving a rhomboid shape, smooth erythematous mucosa lacking a papilla or teres bud, and it is called as median rhomboid glossitis. It is a focal area of susceptibility to recurring or chronic atrophic candidiasis. It presents in the posterior midline of the dorsal surface of the tongue, just anterior to the V-shaped grouping of the circumvallate papilla. Those lesions with atrophic candidiasis are usually more erythematous, but some respond with excess keratin production and therefore show a white surface changes. The infected cases may also demonstrate a midline soft palate erythema in the area of routine contact with the underlying tongue movement. This is commonly referred to as kissing lesion. So the median rhomboid glossitis is called as Kissing's lesion, whereas the infectious mononucleosis is called as Kissing's disease. Now we'll see the next subtype of oral candidiasis, that is keratinized primary lesion superinfected with candida. There are few keratotic lesions which may be superimposed by candidal infection. These includes lupus erythematosus, leukoplakia and lichen planus. They may appear similar to chronic hyperplastic candidiasis clinically but may not regress with antifungal treatment as does the chronic hyperplastic candidiasis. Now we'll move on to the secondary oral candidiasis. In that, first we'll see about chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis. It is characterized by chronic candidal involvement of the skin, scalp, nail and mucous membrane. The patient exhibits a varying abnormalities in their immune system, impaired cell-mediated immunity, isolated IgA deficiency and reduced serum candidicidal activity, and they are usually resistant to the common form of treatment. The chronic familial mucocutaneous candidiasis is an inherited disorder, probably an autosomal recessive characteristics which occurs early in the life, usually before the age of 5, and it is distributed equal in gender, and the oral lesion is more commonly seen in children. Now we'll move on to the chronic localized mucocutaneous candidiasis. It is a severe form of the disease also occurring early in the life, but there is no genetic transmission. There is widespread skin involvement, granulomatous and horny masses of the face and scalp. There is an increased incidence of other fungal and bacterial infection. The mouth is the common primary site for the typical white plaques and nail involvement is usually present. Now we'll move on to the candidiasis endocrinopathy syndrome. It is also a genetically transmitted condition characterized by candida infection of the skin, scalp, nail and mucous membrane. Classically, the oral cavity in association with either hypoadrenalism, that is Addison's disease, hypoparathyroidism, hypothyroidism, ovarian insufficiency or diabetes mellitus. It is recognized that the endocrine manifestation, which may be multiple, may not appear clinically for several years after the appearance of thrush in children. Now we'll see about chronic diffuse mucocutaneous candidiasis. It is the least common form of the disease. It appears to be of late onset. They exhibit extensive raised crush sheets involving the limbs, groin, face, scalp and shoulders as well as mouth and nails. There is no family history and usually the patient have no other abnormalities. The chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis presents oral lesion in all forms of the disease. In general, their clinical appearance is similar to the lesion described in chronic hyperplastic candidiasis and occurs in the same intraoral locations. Now we'll move on to the cytological diagnosis. A smear will be taken from a representative area from the infected site, which is transferred to the microscopic slide and treated with a potassium hydroxide or using a gram stain or using a pap stain. The microscopic examination can be made with a fresh sample using 10% potassium hydroxide, which dissolves the epithelial cells and leaves the candida intact, or 15 to 30% sodium hydroxide can be used. The fungi will take up the stain. This is the cytological picture of an oral candidiasis and it is of a higher magnification image. So this oral cytological smear is taken from palatal mucosa and it shows the candidal hyphae. So I have made a black color arrow marking. So it shows the candidal hyphae. Now we'll see the histopathological features of oral candidiasis. The histological section of a biopsy from a lesion of oral candidiasis will show the presence of yeast cells and hyphae. in the superficial and the deep layers of the involved epithelium. The demonstration of fungi in the biopsy specimen may require several serial sections to be cut. Histologically, an increased thickness of parakeratin layer with elongated reddy ridges are seen. The candidal hyphae infiltrate the parakeratin layer and rarely penetrate into the cell layers of the infected epithelium. The chronic inflammatory cells in the connective tissue with neutrophilic microabscess in parakeratin layer is a prominent feature. Fungi can be easily demonstrated and studied in the tissue sections with special stains. The routinely used hematoxin and eosin stain poorly stains in Candida species. These are more easily visualized if the sections are stained using PAS or methenamine silver stain, since the organisms are positive in both the instances. This picture is an histopathological picture of an oral candidiasis and it is stained using PAS. So this histopathological picture shows the tubular hyphae of Candida albicans embedded in the parakeratin layer. So I have made a marking, so that marking shows the candidal hyphae. This is the higher magnification image of an candidiasis and it is stained using PAS. You can see in magenta colored candidal hyphae. I have made a marking, so that demonstrates the candidal hyphae. Now we'll move on to the treatment of oral candidiasis. The development of new specific antifungal agents such as nystatin has been beneficial in the treatment of candidiasis. The suspension of nystatin held in contact with oral lesion have been successfully used even in chronic and severe cases of the disease. Other drugs of value are miconazole, amphotericin and clotrimazole. So that completes about candidiasis. To conclude my class, first we saw about what is candidiasis, organism which causes candidiasis and three forms of the organism, its predisposing factor and its type. In primary oral candidiasis, its acute forms such as pseudomembranous and erythematous candidiasis, and in chronic form, hyperplastic candidiasis is often spoken as a leukoplakia type of candidiasis, whereas the candida associated lesion includes denture which is often occurs with angular cheilitis and median rhomboid glossitis. Then we saw about keratinized primary lesions like leukoplakia, lichen planus and lupus erythematosus superimposed by candidal infection. In secondary oral candidiasis, we saw about localized and diffused form of chronic mucocutaneous candidiasis. In all the type of candidiasis, histopathologically, the candidal hyphae infiltrates the parakeratin layer and can be easily visualized through a PAS stain and methenamine silver stain. And then we have seen about the treatment of candidiasis. So I hope you'd have understood my class today. The candidiasis is the most important topic for you people because it has been frequently asked 5 mark as well as an essay question. So try to read about candidiasis and write assignment about candidiasis. If you have any doubts regarding my class, you can write down your doubts in Google form. Thank you. Have a great day.